everyone, and welcome back to Just with Dara. This is the 5th episode of season 3, and today is a solo episode. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a while to come up with what I was supposed to do for this episode because I had another plan, but it didn't really work out because, the topic, I'm not gonna say what the topic was, but the topic, I wanted to be with a guest, and I couldn't find a guest who I feel could have fit with the episode. So hopefully I do find a guest soon, and I'm able to still do the episode. And then I had another episode idea, but that guest said no. And I'll talk, in the hopes that I'm gonna be able to persuade that guest to do the episode, I'll in the future when I'm gonna speak into existence, when I do that episode, I'm gonna say I was referring to this person in this episode I'm doing right now. But anyways, yeah, so I had 2 other options. It didn't really work, so that's why I'm doing this. But as you can tell by the title, I'm basically redoing season 1 episode 1, which was titled Let Women Wear What They Want to Wear, which you can also see here in this title as well. But basically I just want to redo it because, so obviously I don't know if all of you have listened to that episode, but for those of you who have, that episode was 3 minutes. Okay, my first episode ever. I was really, I don't know, I wasn't scared per se to do it, but it definitely took me a while to record it. Even though it was 3 minutes, it took me 3 hours just for it to come out to be 3 minutes. I recorded it, re-recorded it. I had different parts I deleted then redid, and I wanted it to be longer. It just didn't work, and it was 10 p.m. I got tired. I was okay, I'm done. I've been doing this for 3 hours. But yeah, so that episode, in my opinion, I know people say not to bash yourself, that episode sucked. I actually don't like it at all. I feel my point was not really put across that well. It sounded like I was reading from a script, because I kind of was, because I couldn't remember all that I wanted to say. It was so sad. But I feel I've definitely improved since then, and I can only improve more, because I definitely think there's still more ways to improve and grow, obviously. And so I think that's just the path that I'm heading on right now. But that's why I kind of wanted to redo the episode, because I think that I can talk about more of the things that were highlighted in it now. Also, if some of it sounds repetitive, I apologize for that. But it's also just to put more emphasis on it. So I think from there, I guess we'll just get right into the episode. Oh, and I also wanted to add that I considered deleting the episode and deleting it. But then I was no, because when I'm older, and if I'm still doing this, which hopefully I still am, then it'll really show the progress and the growth. So I realized I don't want to do that. I think I can just redo it and readjust some things. But yeah, so that being said, let's get right into the episode, which I know I said earlier, but now we're actually getting into it. Okay, so although the title does say let women wear what they want to wear, it's not, I know that's in the title, so it's kind of contradictory, but it's not specific to women. I'm also going to include men as well, because I think it's important to just remember that clothes don't define you, which is the whole synopsis of this episode anyways. But because it's just, there's a lot to say about it, but there's been so many times when people are so quick to judge what people are wearing, and I'm guilty of it. I'm gonna admit that I'm guilty of it too. I've slowly been trying to train myself to stop doing it, because it's just not a good thing to do, because again, it sounds so cliche, but clothes don't define you. And when people act as if clothes do define you, it just really puts a damper, I think, on how people want to dress and express themselves. And it's okay to express yourself. I feel as long as you're not harming other people or hurting other people, then it's okay. So I'll just kind of go through some comments that I've heard people say. So a lot of times, so obviously when I'm saying this, I'm kind of referring more to the quote dressing revealing type of way, and it also goes the opposite way as well, which I'll also address later on. But so that a lot of times when people talk about that comes from a religious standpoint. And so obviously I'm religious as well, and I'm a Christian, which I think I've made clear throughout this podcast so far and stuff. But and I think I understand that, but I feel when you use your religion to judge other people, and it's not just Christianity, but other religions as well, when you use your religion to judge other people and use that as a reason that, oh, I can judge them because of this, that, I don't think that's ever okay, and I would never stand for that, because okay, speaking specifically to Christianity, the Bible literally says not to judge, and you're just sinning yourself by judging other people for what they're wearing, but using Christianity to back it, you're using your religion to back it. So I think it's important to realize that you should not be judging people, like, regardless. And even if you're not religious, you should not be judging people. It's just wrong. Like, judging people, especially when you don't even know them, it's just really bad. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just really bad because, like, you're not even giving them, like, a chance to show themselves, like, how they really are. And I'm gonna pause real quickly just to say, okay, so as I'm looking at the time of how I'm recording this, okay, well, I think it happened earlier, but I know this episode's gonna be longer than 3 minutes this time, so yay! Woo! Okay, sorry. Anyways, back to what I was saying. But, so, like, back to the comments thing. It's, like, a comment that I've heard people say is, like, oh, like, this woman was dressing, quote, scantily to church, and she's distracting the pastor. And I was like, okay, you know, that just contradicted itself, because it's like the pastor should not be looking at some woman and saying that he's distracted and he can't preach because he's looking at her legs. Like, that's a problem for you. That is only a problem for you, not her, because she didn't force you to look at her. Like, you took your eyes and you looked that way. So I hate when people do stuff like that, like, or say things like that, like, oh, she's sitting in the front row and he can't properly preach because her legs are open. Like, what? I don't understand. And I also feel like another thing to remember is that, like, okay, so, like, once again, this is speaking religiously on this part, but, like, you should just be happy that people are coming to church anyways, regardless of what they're wearing. And if you feel like that's such a need for them to change, then you could, like, I guess, quote, work through that later on. But, like, you should not be judging them from the beginning. Because I've heard stories where, like, people who go to women and be like, oh, like, you know, you shouldn't wear that to church. Like, that's wrong. And it's like, that would make them not want to ever come back to church. And that's why, like, a lot of people kind of distance themselves from church anyways. So I don't stand for that. I would never stand for that, and I don't agree with that at all, because I think that's just really useless, honestly. There's no point to it. There's no point in judging people that you don't know. There's no point in trying to put your nose where it doesn't belong and trying to, like, get into other people's business, because it's like, you commenting about what they're wearing or how she's dressing, how does that affect you? How does it help you? Like, that's not going to add any meaning to your life. It's just going to add, like, not add, but, like, I would say, like, maybe even offend her. But, like, so that's just why I just think that's really wrong. But, yeah, so also with, like, excuse me, with, like, men, so I think this kind of goes into with, like, so me personally, I don't think that clothes have, like, a specific gender. Like, I don't think some clothes are for women and some clothes are for men, because, like, I think, like, the world is kind of changing now to, like, where people are realizing that. But a lot of times people try to act as if, like, either men or women can't wear certain things because, like, oh, that's for a man or that's for a woman. But I just think it's really important to realize that, again, clothes don't define you. And for a man, whatever clothes you're wearing, that doesn't define your masculinity. Or for a woman, whatever clothes you're wearing, that doesn't define your femininity. And it's just, like, because I know I've heard it, like, myself. I know my sister has, like, if we're wearing, like, quote, like, men's clothes or baggy clothes, whatever, you get comments like, oh, but you're dressing like a boy, or, oh, like, are you gay because, like, you're dressing like that or whatever. But it's like, this outfit that I'm wearing doesn't have anything to do with my sexuality, and doesn't have anything to do with, like, my gender or anything, because the clothes are, like, literally, clothes are just to cover you, okay? And they're just to cover you for the day so that you don't go out, like, naked or whatever. That's the purpose it has. That's the only purpose it has. And that's what clothes are for. So you, like, making comments about how people should dress or how you think they should dress because that's what makes you comfortable, is just really wrong. Especially because it's like, again, what I'm wearing or what someone else is wearing does not define them. It does not add to their, like, I don't know if the word would be gender, but, like, it doesn't make them any less a man. It doesn't make them any less a woman, or more of a woman or more of a man, or anything like that. Because, I think, like, I've heard some stories of, like, someone who was buying something, like, clothes in the men's department because like, it was, I think, like, more comfortable for her, and, like, it just, like the clothes itself, like, just were more comfortable for her, because, like, I guess, like, in the women's department it wasn't as comfortable. And she got all these remarks and questions, like, just, like, basically just judging her, and, like, oh, like, are you gay or whatever because, like, you're wearing men's clothes, or this and that. And again, it's just, like, it gets, like, I think it's, like, it kind of frustrates me, even though, like, I haven't even gone through it that much, but, like, it just frustrates me because I'm, like, clothes don't define you. And I think, like, in a way, like, I've also kind of been trying to, like, help, like, I'm gonna say, like, the elders in, like, my life that I see, like the older people and stuff, to try to, because I think it's with the older generation a lot too, and like try to help them to understand, like, clothes don't define you. Like when you go out, because I can see it, like when I'm with these older people, like I can see it in their eyes. Like we'll be walking in the store, and maybe there'll be like a girl who's dressing again, quote, revealing or whatever, and the person will just start like shaking their head or like muttering under their breath, and I'm just like, why on earth is this bothering you so much? Like, it should not be bothering you that much, because like they're not doing anything to affect you. Like they're not harming your life in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, so with that though, I also don't mean to say that like, oh, it's okay to wear like okay, so like for example, I feel like, okay, I'll start off by saying this, sorry. So I feel like there's certain attire that works for certain, like, different environments and stuff. And so obviously those quote revealing outfits or whatever, I don't think that would be like okay like to wear to school or to like work or anything. Like I'm all for like wear what you want and be comfortable, but at the same time there's a time and place. Like, so this kind of goes in with like dress code and stuff, but like I really don't like the dress code that's like at my school or my county or whatever. But I have seen some people at school wearing like literally just like some girls wearing just like bras, like basically just wearing bras, and I'm like, okay, like I'm all for be comfortable, but you look like you're going to a club, not school. Like what are you dressing up for at school? Like, so like, although I'm saying all like, oh, like wear what you want, at the same time I'm not saying like wear what you want wherever you want, because I think there is a time and place for things. Like it's okay to respect those boundaries. Like dressing like that to school, I wouldn't say that's necessarily appropriate, but like dressing like that outside of school, I guess like that's okay, because that's what makes you comfortable. So I do agree with the whole time and place thing, but at the same time, I'm not judging them though. Wait, am I judging them by doing that? I don't know. Okay, I hope I'm not judging them. No, I'm gonna say I'm not judging them. Yeah, I'm not judging them by doing that, but I would say like I do think there's still a time and place for things, and like you can kind of see and gauge like where it's like appropriate to do that or whatever. And so also back to like the gender thing with clothes, I know that like so like sometimes like if a guy wears a skirt or something, like people have a problem with that, and I just don't really understand why it bothers them so much, because it's like, just let him do what, like, he's comfortable that way, that's what he wants to do, whatever. And so I know I watched this, well, it wasn't a documentary, but like this little story or whatever about this man who was married and had 2 kids or whatever, and he like, I guess started to realize that like clothes like don't define us. I know I keep repeating that, just expect me to keep saying that a lot throughout this episode, but that like clothes aren't like, they don't have any meaning to like who you are as a person or whatever. And so to his workplace, like he started wearing like skirts and high heels and stuff, and I just think that really made like a statement, because it was like, this is like a power statement. Like, yes, like these clothes do not define me. They do not take away from my masculinity. They do not take away from like, they don't, like, these clothes don't mean like that there's something wrong with me, or like I'm actually like quote too feminine or something like that. Because it's like, no, like that doesn't mean anything. Clothes don't mean anything. Like I don't know how much I can say it, but like I just feel like people should really understand, like I said before, it has one job: to cover you, make sure you're not going out naked, and that's it. Like I just don't think it's necessary to add so much like meaning to something that doesn't need meaning. And I think that's what people do a lot. Like they'll keep trying to like put meaning into something, or trying to find something wrong with something that just had nothing wrong with it in the first place. And like, I don't know, it's like I said before, it's just frustrating, really. Another thing with guys that like a lot of people have a problem with is like if they wear like a crop top or something like that, and they're like, oh, that's like reserved for girls or females or whatever. But like, again, that just shouldn't bother you, because they're comfortable. I think that's really all that matters. They're not doing anything to harm you or to affect you in any bad way, and they're not causing any problems or anything. And so once again, I would say just like mind your business, because they're not bothering you. But yeah. So, and then also like, I know a lot of times like people like slut shame, and like just, it's really bad things. Like whenever a girl or woman or whatever is wearing something, again, quote, too revealing, and they'll just be like, oh, like why is she dressing like that? Like that's dressing like a slut or a prostitute or whatever. All these like derogatory terms. I'm just like, oh my goodness, like you're just judging this person, you don't even know who they are. And like, because I know it sounds crazy that like I'm thinking about it now, but like this one time I was driving with someone the car, and well, obviously they're older than me anyways, and so we were like pulling around a corner, and there's this woman who was wearing like a short dress, And the first thing this person said was, "Oh, she's a prostitute." And I was like, "What?" Like, and they just started shaking their head, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, this is what's wrong with with people these days." And I was just like, "Sheesh!" Like, you don't even know who she is. Like, she was just walking. Like, she was not bothering anybody, and just yeah. And even okay, and even let's say like even that's true, you still shouldn't judge though. Like, even if you think that's wrong or whatever, like, you just still shouldn't judge, because judging is just like, I feel like judging, I don't want to say it hurts you more than it hurts them, but like at the same time I feel like, what do you get out of judging? Like, judging people, like, you don't get anything out of that. There's no gain out of that. There's no positive feedback or positivity that comes from that. I just feel like if you're not doing anything that you get or gain positivity from, why are you doing it? Like, it's just, I don't know. I just don't see the point in it. I don't think there's any reason why you should do it anyways. To add on to that, I feel like it really all stems from like the sexualization of young girls and females, because when you associate like skimpy clothing or like short dressing or whatever to basically just associating that to sex or like something sexual, that's when like it comes in with like, why are you sexualizing this person who was just trying to live their life and just trying to wear what makes them comfortable? It's their way of expressing themselves. Them wearing that is not them asking for sex. It's not them saying, oh, like someone should come and like talk to me because I'm wearing this thing that shows like my breast or shows my body in some way. That also goes back to like people justifying rape and sexual assault and sexual harassment to like, oh, well, look at what she was wearing. Like, why would that not happen with what she was wearing? Like, she was asking for it. Oh my gosh. When people say that, something like that, or something along those lines, or say that exact thing, like, I really, really hate that. And honestly, like, if I know someone like that in person who said something like that, I would just cut them off. Like, I would probably never talk to them again. Or maybe I would try to educate them first, and then if I feel like it's not working, I would cut all ties with them, because that is like one of the most ignorant things you can ever say. And this semi stems off topic, but I feel like it still correlates, so I'm still gonna go into it. But like, no one is ever asking for rape. I don't think anyone would ever do that. And also, their clothes does not, like, that does not mean that they were asking for it, or that like, oh, of course it's gonna happen with what they're wearing. If a man cannot control his hands, because everyone has like everything that everyone does, like, they have to take accountability for their own actions. They can't be blaming it on someone else or blaming it on her clothes, or oh, like she was seducing me with her clothes when she didn't talk to you or didn't say anything to you. You just went after her because like you're disgusting and you're a pervert and you're a creepy person. Like, the fact that they have to blame that on, oh, what she was wearing, like, that is literally your problem if you cannot take your eyes and look some other way. And I feel like as I'm saying this, I'm getting riled up, because like it just really, really bothers me when people like say things like, oh, like, well, it was what she was wearing that happened like that. Because also I think it's important to realize that rape happens not just when people are dressing, again, quote, revealing, but it also happens when some people are covered from head to toe. It does not matter. A disgusting, stupid rapist would do it whether or not they're dressed that way or they're dressed the other way. So you blaming it on the clothes, and then especially sometimes I hear some women who will say things like, oh, well, she was dressing like that, so like it makes sense or whatever. Like, how would she not expect that to happen? Like, do you not hear yourself speaking? I feel like that's just like, I can't remember the term for it right now, but like, that's just what is ingrained in you by society, to think that way. Like, oh yeah, this is the woman's fault because of what she was wearing, not the man's fault who decided to take his own hands or whatever else and do that. Because again, you have to take accountability for your own actions. So blaming it on someone else's clothing or like with what they're wearing, like, that is just incredibly, I would say, childish and stupid and immature and just all around disgusting, honestly. And it's really repulsing, and it just makes me, like, again, really incredibly angry. And I just like really, really, I'm not keep using the word really, just want people to understand that what a woman is wearing does not mean that she's asking for rape, or she's asking to be inappropriately touched, or she's asking to be assaulted, or any of these things, because it can happen to someone who is covered from head to toe. It can also happen to someone who is dressing while showing more skin. But again, oh yeah, sorry. I'm not laughing at the part I just said, but I just remembered that in I think it was the episode I did on like opinions that I feel need sharing or whatever, and I had one of the segments as showing skin is not a sin, but it just reminded me of that rhyme. That's why I chuckled there. But anyways, yeah. So I just think it's really important to realize, like, don't put blame on what people are wearing. Don't judge people. Don't assign clothes to gender because the two don't correlate. And wearing something does not make you any more feminine. It does not make you any more masculine. So I would say just wear what you want. Feel free. Express yourself the way you want to express yourself. Be comfortable in who you are. Be comfortable in what you're wearing because, again, your clothes don't define you. So yeah, this kind of brings us to a close of this episode. I'm recording this on like Friday night. I really procrastinated this week, like how I was telling you how like I had two other episode ideas that didn't really follow through or whatever. I don't even know if that was that clear in the beginning because I don't know if what I was saying was clear. I hope it was clear. But hopefully I'm able to do them in the future still. Yeah, so even when I did come up with doing this episode, I think it was yesterday actually, so Thursday, and it was like a last minute thing, and I've been procrastinating recording it ever since. I was even considering not recording it tonight because I was really tired, but then I was like, you know what, that's not good of me because I'm supposed to release this at 8:30 a.m. so I should record it tonight and get it out on time for you guys. And then I also considered like not doing an episode at all this week, but then I was like, that's not nice either. Like I should like find out an idea, because the thing is I always have like, okay, now I'm kind of like, I'm really off topic now, but like I always have like backup episode ideas in case like the main ones that I have don't like go through. Like the other two that I had, like those are like the main ones that I would have really wanted to do, but I clearly and unfortunately was not able to do them. But I kind of have like backup options. So this wasn't even one of my backup options, but I'm glad that this kind of came to me, because I definitely was talking about how like I wanted to somehow some way redo episode 1 because I didn't like it at all. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys listening to this episode. Next week's episode, don't know what it is yet, but I think I have a few ideas and possibly a guest. Don't quote me on that, but possibly and hopefully I'll be having a guest. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode though, little solo episode. I feel like it was kind of just me like ranting and repeating myself a lot, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed recording it. When I finish this, I'm gonna go finish the loads of homework that I have. I don't know why I'm telling you this information as if you care, but like, yeah. So, yeah, okay. I once again hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, week, day, whenever you're listening to this, night, whatever. Yeah. So, and that's it. Just see you guys next Saturday.